Julianne, in the registration for this event, I included some why questions from your book, the end of which was the potentiality for Australia to become more than a half-formed idea. And you were just loosely talking to this. What does a fully formed idea of Australia look like to you?
Well, it would look like a place where that foundational flaw was addressed, so where there was a structural place for First Nations people and a proper pathway going forward. That would be step one. Step two would be about trying to reset an independent frame of mind. And so that means engaging with the world on our terms rather than on the terms of those that we felt we needed to be protected by. It would be a place in which fear is not used to make people, to diminish people. So it would be inclusive, outward looking, and essentially it would be a place where inequality is addressed fundamentally, because people aren't going to be able to engage in these big sort of discussions that we can talk about in this sort of forum if they're worried about where their next meal is coming from. So that the question of addressing inequality, structural inequality, educational inequality, and all the related elements, that needs to be put centre stage. When Bob Hawke years ago said, in a bit of a misstatement, that no child would be living in poverty by the next election 3 years hence, he got taken down. Making an overstated claim. This would be impossible. He shouldn't have said it. And there was argy-bargy around the politics. The fact was that over that 3-year period, the level of childhood poverty went through the floor. That real steps were taken that actually addressed that question. So if we make it a priority, those things can be done. And I think that this country is absolutely smart enough and able enough to do that if we're prepared to be a bit bold.
Yeah, wonderful. And to our independence, I put it to you publicly a few days ago, what your vision for Australia 50 years from now would look like. Could each of you take us through it?
To me, it's local and global, that it's more community orientated in our local areas, but with a global outreach. So that probably sounds a little bit, high, and and perhaps empathy. I want to see empathy, and it goes back to what Julianne was saying. We need to look after our vulnerable people and make sure there is food on the table, make sure they have a roof over their head. The amount of homelessness in Flinders, it blows your mind, when we're also in the place where there are some of the richest people, Portsea, Sorrento. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for a lot of people in my community. We want to see, everybody supported. And if we can support and allow everyone to be their best selves, and that's actually going to mean going back upstream rather than treating downstream and thinking that we just have to catch everybody in the net as they start to fall through. I don't think that's good enough. I'd prefer it to be an upstream approach where we're actually supporting people to be their best selves. Domestic violence is also through the roof here. Gender equity needs a lot of work. We, right across all genders, it needs to be something that we're really thinking about. And I think that comes back to empathy as well. And, my nan used to say to me, you need to walk in that person's shoes. And I still remember that. That I don't know where and why she said that to me. There's probably lots of reasons, but as a young person, that sat with me quite a lot growing up. And I think that if we can think about what it is like for other people to live, to have those hard times, it might actually make us think more about where we could go, what we could do, what the possibilities are.
You're absolutely spot on, and I know it's tricky to talk about the local global part, but yes. So all the businesses listed on the stock market, if there still is one, is going to be a B Corp, so have some public purpose embedded in its constitution, because making profit just for shareholders is just not going to work in the long term. We might have even remutualized finance. There's something a bit interesting. And we got rid of GDP as a concept. Who needs that? Let's talk about sufficiency or enoughness. Let's have other metrics of celebrating the fact that we're an inclusive and cohesive society where there are outwardly, we understand and recognize people's differences, but we respect them because we've sought to understand those. We have a courageous democracy where we are engaged, that we debate issues in the lower house because that is a successful behaviour. We're not, and because we've had a federal ICAC for like 49 and a half years, we know, we trust our government implicitly because they've been very open with the decisions that they've made. I think with the local, to Despy's point, I'm going to just celebrate that one. I think our energy systems are going to be localized and decentralized. We're going to have a wonderful system of our electric vehicles, which we may or may not own ourselves, but they're part of the system of giving us dispatchable power and energy when we need it. The price of the fuel at the Bowser is, for a full charge, maybe $4, because it's all from solar. And we don't have a national security issue because we don't have to import oil, because we've got all of our energy sources right here in Australia, because the sun is free today and it's free tomorrow. I might leave the health and the other parts to Monique though, but you want to just jump on painting that picture, build on this little.
Okay, great. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. So we have universal health care and dental care, and we have mental health care, which is free and easily accessible to people of all ages. We have generous paid parental leave schemes and fully funded childcare for children of all ages. And the people who are providing that care, similar to the people in aged care, are paid well, have mature career development throughout their time in that industry, and are valued by the society. And I don't think we recognise the society in which we live, because it's cleaner and quieter and greener than anything that any of us have ever experienced.
And at its heart, it has a creative and cultural sort of engagement around public good, and that comes through equal access to quality education, rather than the most segregated education system in the OECD.
Where our arts and our cultural community is alive and well, and our first Australians are celebrated. And guess what? They don't die earlier than everybody else. That'd be nice. Not just nice. It should be now.
Yeah, it's a I guess that 2050 Australia from now, that Australia is a place where equity isn't questioned, or it's just apparent in all areas of our engagement.
So are you all the ones to make that happen?
Hell yes.
Yeah, we'll kick it off. You know,
Give it a go.
Great.
I do think that we are on the cusp of a paradigm change in Australian politics, which I hope that will be apparent at the next election. And you know, I plug for the independents. I do think that the independents would be, by promoting a less partisan form of politics in the national capital, will improve the tenor of political discussion there, and then that will have downstream effects into all aspects of government in this country.
Thank you for joining me for the Smarter Impact Show. My name is Philip Bateman. If you've got a conference or event for your organisation and you're looking for an interviewer to come and get the best out of your people, get in touch with me. I'll happily come along.